Hello all, and welcome to episode 3 of this multi-part FNaF Ruin theory series. If you're just tuning in, you can watch the previous episodes by clicking the card at the top right of the screen. In the last 2 episodes, we talked about everything related to the Mimic and its exact connections and manipulation of Gregory and Vanessa. In this episode, we are going to talk about the endings of both Security Breach and Ruin to understand which ones are canon and what the other endings mean. We will start with Security Breach. Many of the Security Breach endings seem impossible, such as the VIP ending. In this ending, Freddy charges Vanny and pushes her off the roof, and they both fall to their deaths as the Pizzaplex burns behind them. We take off Vanny's mask to realize that this was Vanessa the whole time, but then we also see Vanessa standing on the rooftop of the Pizzaplex. We know for sure that they are the same person, so this cannot be possible. Luckily, Ruin gives us a pretty good explanation. Throughout the game, there are various collectible items. There are AR items, Faz tokens, but also comic pages. One thing that's very noticeable by these comic pages is the fact that they are panels from the Security Breach ending. Comic pages 3 and 4 are even panels from the VIP ending we were just talking about. In the description of all of these pages, it mentions that Gregory created these. These look like Gregory drew them. It's one of Gregory's comics, and how long was Gregory working on these? Even though these descriptions are coming from Cassie, these seem to show that the endings on the comics are simply just comics. Now, there's a comic page for every ending except for the Vanny Redeemed ending. This is where a wedge begins to divide many FNaF fans. Many of these fans are very divided between the Burn Trap ending and the Vanny Redeemed ending for which one is real. The people who believe that the Vanny Redeemed ending is real is due to the comic pages. The people who believe that the Burn Trap ending is real is due to the fact that the Burn Trap ending is a cutscene, and the Vanny Redeemed ending is also a comic. Now, there are a few things we can utilize to understand which of these endings is the real one. Even though the Burn Trap ending is a cutscene in the game, we still see a comic panel of a frame from that cutscene. This isn't very good information one way or another, but luckily for us, in Ruin, we actually go down to where the Burn Trap ending takes place, and we can compare the differences. In Ruin, we go to the exact office where 2 different Burn Trap cutscenes take place. The first cutscene is before we fight Burn Trap, and the second cutscene is after we fight Burn Trap. Luckily for us, after we fight Burn Trap, we can see a whole bunch of debris falling in the office as a cave-in occurs. If the office in Ruin matches the layout of the pre-fight cutscene, we know for sure that the Burn Trap ending never happened. However, if it matched the layout of the post-fight cutscene, the Burn Trap ending would have to be the true Security Breach ending. So, let us analyze. In the pre-fight cutscene, we can see a fully intact recharge station, but in the post-fight cutscene, it's covered in debris, with the main window completely broken in. In Ruin, this recharge station is still intact, including the window, which is still sitting perfectly inside. In the pre-fight cutscene, we can't really see much of the debris around the office, except for a pile of rocks and dirt on the right side of the recharge station. But in the post-fight cutscene, the office has completely collapsed with broken concrete on the floors, supports toppled over and covering the door, and a completely open ceiling. In Ruin, not only is the ceiling fine and all the debris not present, but the layout of the rocks and dirt on the right side of the recharge station in the pre-fight cutscene is present exactly where it should be in Ruin. This ending could never have happened solely due to the condition of the old pizzeria. While one could argue this may just be Steelwool being lazy, this could not be possible. We can see a support and debris completely covering the door to this office, meaning we wouldn't even be able to enter it if this ending was canon. So it would seem after all this evidence that the Redeem Vanny ending is the true canon ending. This is why we use this ending so much in our previous theory to explain many of the connections to Vanessa and Gregory. Now that we have Security Breach out of the way, it's time to tackle Ruin. There are 3 different endings in Ruin, and it is much more difficult to figure out which is canon than Security Breach. Each of these endings have some sort of cutscene element rather than a comic strip, so we will have to use what we've learned from the games to try and figure out which one is canon. The 3 endings have been dubbed the neutral ending, the Brazil ending, and the scooper ending. The neutral ending is the main ending of Ruin and involves Cassie running into an elevator during the Mimic chase sequence. The Mimic gets an arm through, but the door closing cuts it off. We hear Gregory's voice take over the intercom before the elevator begins barreling downwards with Cassie inside. The Brazil ending involves putting on the Vanny mask after getting lost in the caves during the Mimic chase, where you see a modified version of the Vanny Redeemed ending, now with Helpy. The scooper ending involves looking at secret cameras in the game to unlock a secret room that you can run into during the Mimic chase. When in here, a strange device will lower from the ceiling, grabbing the Mimic and, to what we see from Cassie's point of view, presumably killing it. Now, let's start by looking at the Brazil ending. In the last few episodes, we talked about the Mimic and its connection to the Vanny network, not only through its auditory systems, but its visual ones as well. When you look through the Vanny mask, you cannot trust what you see. The name, the Brazil ending, is a little strange, but what if I told you there might be an explanation? This information comes from the lovely Mindmaster115 on Reddit, who mentioned a movie from 1985 called Brazil, where the protagonist goes insane and retreats into a fantasy world. This is the exact same situation as we see in this ending. Cassie, while being terrorized by the Mimic, retreats into the only fantasy world she knows. The only thing we haven't figured out yet is why the daycare music is playing. This daycare music is a little confusing. I don't think we can fully answer why this music is being played here, but we can say that Cassie might have had a connection to the daycare area in the Pizzaplex before everything happened in Security Breach. We know that the mask has some sort of version of the Mimic program inside, as it kept showing her cardboard cutouts of herself and Gregory, and many instances of her favorite animatronic, Roxy. If Cassie also had a connection to daycare, it would most likely play that music for her. We see that the description for the AR Moon plush is, "I never slept better than I did in the daycare." And the AR Sun plush description says, "I used to have so much fun in daycare." It would seem that Cassie had some sort of positive connection with daycare, so if the mask was trying to show her a positive image, which we can see that it was through the auditory and visual illusion, it would make sense that the daycare music is playing. Now, if you're not a fan of that idea, I have one more idea, but it's a lot more spirally and all in all, a lot worse. I'm still going to say it for those of you who want another possible explanation, but just know that the previous explanation is probably the correct one of the two. Now, we can actually connect the Mimic to the Sun and Moon animatronic. In the Tales books, there is mention that the Mimic wears multiple different suits, such as a dog, a monkey, and a mouse. 2 of the suits that the Mimic wears are bright pink and yellow-green court jester suits. The daycare attendant is a very jester-like animatronic and used to be a stage performer, meaning it would have a connection with the fantasy world. Am I saying that the Mimic is the daycare attendant? Absolutely not, because that is clearly not the case. All I'm saying is that if the Mimic understands the daycare attendant, as we see some sort of similarity in the books, it may understand that it used to perform and try to display fantasy to others, similar to what is currently going on with the Vanny mask, hence why it may play the daycare music, as that is where the animatronic currently resides. Again, this explanation is much more spirally and out of control, so please just focus on Cassie's connection to daycare. Now, we solved everything related to the Brazil ending, and it seems to not be the canon ending. ending. Leading up to this ending, Cassie ignores Gregory's instructions and ends up lost before hiding in a fantasy world. This ending just follows the "you found a secret but not the right secret" ending, which is similar to the insanity ending in FNaF 6, where you discover the secrets but get fired for it and never actually finish the game. This ending is clearly just the ruin equivalent of "you found a secret but got fired for it." In this game, you found the secret but got killed for it. This is not the canon ending. The next endings we are going to look at are the neutral and scooper endings. This is where fans are again divided. More people believe that the neutral or elevator ending is canon, but there's still a large chunk of people that believe the scooper ending is canon. To be able to solve this predicament, we need to start by really comparing them. In the neutral ending, we end on a direct cliffhanger. The elevator drops with Cassie inside, and we cut to black. Our direct cliffhanger is Cassie's safety. Is she dead? We can hear Roxy say Cassie at the very end, but we have no idea if this is in reference to a search for Cassie's body or seeing Cassie alive on the floor. There are so many other questions that arise from this ending. Why did the elevator fall? Did Gregory betray Cassie? Was it the mimic? Or was the elevator cable too worn from all the damage, similar to how the main elevator down can only survive one trip? Now, the scooper ending is a very indirect cliffhanger. Our questions are, is the mimic dead, and what happens to Cassie now? Luckily, we can already answer one of these questions. If we break out of this cutscene and look at the mimic's body, we can see that only the mascot costume is on the floor, and the mimic itself isn't actually in there. These are our questions for each of these endings. The neutral ending contains what happened questions, while our scooper ending contains what next questions. We can already almost figure out which ending is most likely canon based on this idea alone. Let's start by returning to Pizzeria Simulator. For the bad ending in the game, you don't salvage at least one of the animatronics, and you are fired at the end. You aren't told why you are fired or what you can do differently. The game just ends. This is a very what happened ending. However, the completion ending, which is the canon ending in this game, is achieved if you salvage all the animatronics, and we watch them all burn in the pizzeria, closing the doors on William Afton's story. This is a very what next ending. We know there's more, but how is there more? What's next for Fazbear Entertainment? Did Henry also get burned alive? These are the questions we had for this ending, very similar to our scooper ending. These are not why did this happen questions, but more what comes next questions. Now, let's stray away from FNaF 6 and instead look at Security Breach. In the Burn Trap ending, our questions aren't what's next, but they're what happened. We see what is believed to be our former antagonist come back and somehow attempt to possess Glamrock Freddy, all while we burn him once again. Once we finally do, the blob grabs our new former antagonist as Gregory and Freddy escape. With this ending, we don't care about what happens next. We are trying to justify what we just saw. The Vanny Redeemed ending is much different. While at the time, we were slightly confused how playing Princess Quest could somehow save Vanessa, we were mainly wondering what comes next in our story. We solved the missing children incident, and we saved our secondary antagonist from the grip of our primary antagonist. We proved before that the Burn Trap ending with the what happened questions is not canon, and the Vanny Redeemed ending with the what next questions is canon. We can map these onto our current endings. It would seem that using our previous evidence in these game endings, that the canon ending is leaning more towards the scooper ending than the neutral ending. Now, we'll never be 100% sure and get this insane aha moment evidence to really prove which ending is canon, but there's one more thing we can look at that will greatly hint to which one it most likely is. Let's look at how these two security breach endings are achieved. You have to do quite a bit to achieve the Burn Trap ending. You have to disassemble all animatronics to unlock the doors that lead to the elevator to finally reach the boss fight section where you have to kill Burn Trap. This is a big ending with a lot that needs to be done for it. The Vanny Redeemed ending doesn't require as many tasks, but it requires much more specific tasks. You have to find each of the 2 very specifically located Princess Quest games and beat each of them before entering our ending area, and once you've done that, it will unlock the secret in the ending area, which accessing will let you achieve the canon ending. The neutral or elevator ending doesn't really connect that much with the burn trap ending, as it is our baseline ending, but the scooper ending really connects with Vanny Redeemed. You have to find 4 very specifically located secret cameras and click on each of them before entering our ending area, and once you've done that, it will unlock the secret in the ending area, which accessing will let you achieve the scooper ending. This is beat for beat the same way to achieve the Vanny Redeemed ending, which is the canon ending. Not only will Steelwool most likely stick with a similar theme between their games for achieving the true endings, but this is the exact same game. Ruin is the same game as Security Breach, it's just a DLC. It makes sense for the canon endings to be achieved the same way. Find the secrets before entering the ending to unlock a new secret that, if accessed, gives you the true ending. Now, as a disclaimer, this could all be wrong. The true ending could actually be the neutral or elevator ending. However, using the evidence from not just the previous FNaF games, but the same exact FNaF game, all of our information is pointing to the scooper ending being the actual canon ending. With that said, there are now new questions that we need to ask. Where did the Mimic run off to? Did Cassie make it out of the Pizzaplex? And what will happen with Gregory? All of these questions are what next rather than what happened, so they can't yet be answered. We have to wait until we get more information to truly be able to figure this out. With that said, thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, and if you enjoy my content, make sure to subscribe. Comment down below if you have any information that could either prove or disprove this theory. Once again, this is still just a theory, so it can always be disproven later when we learn more information. If you want to talk to my team and I directly, make sure to join our Discord or check out our subreddit. Once again, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.